I dedicated this poem to him, and this is what someone in that situation would tell their mother via letter. Where are you, Mommy? I'm sorry. While I sit staring at an unused apron perched up over Nanny's kitchen sink. Where is the 16 years of unconditional maternal conditioning you were supposed to give me? I walk around this empty abode wondering how quickly you walk daily to the pusherman, pushing up explosives in your veins like hospital needles and morphine drips. I'm in trouble because of you. My heart keeps falling for aged women only to crush underneath 40-pound anxiety boulders. Yesterday I thought I saw you as I drove past Sepulveda Boulevard, rummaging through a catalog of prostitutes. Working hard for the money, are you? I sure am, working my mind strings trying to comprehend which of my actions caused you to leave. Was it the time I peed in the bed sheets after your pimp bought me some lonesome Christmas ago? Perhaps it was on that frozen February 21st in 1992 when I defied your wishes, birthing myself. Days and days I've wished I could travel back to that night when I was conceived and beg your trick to pop a condom. Then it may have been somewhat easier existing in the nothing. Mommy, you missed the rest of my growing ups, the questions I had about my father, how to keep my thing clean, the best way to get over cold in the wintertime. You missed my first grade spelling bee championship, and I didn't win, but I knew how to spell squirt. It didn't matter with you not there. Like the pillowcases drenched in tears every day after hearing your mama jokes on the schoolyard during recess, I knew they were all true. Sometimes I go out and paint pictures where you win Best Actress and I snag Best Supporting Actor in a film titled Mother to Son, where you gave me advice on what color tie to wear to my 8th grade graduation. You would sing the main theme like Whitney in The Bodyguard. I pretended for years that's your favorite movie. I Will Always Love You, too, will be stuck in the crevices of my brain matter. Then I would awake to a musty air surrounded by my best friend's anger and resentment. Sheets still stench from those days I found it hard to get out of the bed. Wishing I could smash into your bedroom and tackle you under covers on Saturday mornings. Today is your birthday, Mommy, but the darkness covers me instead. Needless to say, I miss you, but this is the finale to your memory. F you, Mommy, I'm sorry. I had to edit a little bit. Okay, most of the inside of an orange is a very happy, celebratory book, but there are a few poems that are socially conscious and that are going to raise awareness. I'll Wash Dishes is very special to me. It's one of my favorite poems for more than one reason in the inside of an orange. What I appreciate about this poem is that it does talk about a father-daughter relationship and what it's like to have your daughter molested and the feelings that you have after that. But it's also a tribute to one of my favorite writers, Sylvia Plath, who is one of the most amazing poets because she's extremely direct. And I love the words that she used, especially in my favorite poem of hers, Daddy. I opened this poem with a tribute to Sylvia, and it's from the beginning of that poem. I'll wash dishes. You do. Buckle my little black shoe. Eat from a tiny little saucer. Sit at a little pink plastic table in your disheveled little room. Toys, toys, toys line all around, up and down the walls and floors and cabinetry. Always knew your imaginary food would taste best, served so sweetly on toast. I'll wash dishes. You will too. But I'll take the sud side. You'll dry them cool. Did not know, he would touch your virginity so. Took away those scrumptious invisible meals too. Turned your lights off, little girl blue. Thank you. Oh, I guess it's not a thank you on that one. Okay, This book was written for both of my grandmothers who, interestingly enough, both have Alzheimer's, but they're very strong women, so they're fighting through it. And that inspired me to continue to write no matter what's going on, no matter what the difficulties are. Granny's Sick is a poem that I wrote early on. I think towards the beginning when I first realized that Alzheimer's is no joke, that it is a really serious disease and it's not something to be played with. But it does teach you a lot about living every day to your very best abilities and to let people know that you love them while they're there. Granny's Sick is dedicated to my grandmothers, and it is very, there are a lot of metaphors in it, and that was purposeful. Anyways, Granny's sick, and the baby's bathwater is cold. Took her mind down to the watering hole, fished with its strings, baited with aged memory glands disrobed. Granny's sick, and the tides have turned, planted her deep in the earths below, to teach a thing or two to unloving souls, a minute closer to heavenly adventures evermore. Granny's sick, and the baby's bathwater is cold. Give me back my mind. Give me back my soul. Thank you. For those of you guys who buy The Inside of an Orange or who read it, because the library generously has bought a lot of the books, ordered them, and now they'll have them on shelves for everybody to check out, which is the goal of my writing, is to get to as many people as possible. In the book, there's a love suite, and the love suite has 5 poems in it. It's in the 3rd section. And you know, I've always hated love poems for some reason, but I felt the need to tell the real story, a real love story through these poems. So it starts with the courtship and it ends with heartbreak. And then it goes into just accepting the relationship is over. One of the poems that I absolutely love from the love suite is called Puke on My Love. And it's really interesting because every time I read the title alone, it's just really, really cool. This is when they find out what happened. Puke on my love. Another person had to tell me that you were messing around. After I'd given you all my secrets, revealed my insecurities, truth, my biggest lies. And what did you do but puke on my love? You left me out to thaw like frozen meat before work, and I'll burn when they put me on those coals. Puke on my love. And then you get to Heartbeat, the very next poem, and that's when you say, I thought I already loved you most. Then I saw you dancing in your underwear to How Will I Know. Fell deeper in love with you. I saw tribes dancing, stamping up dust, and waving arms around fluidly like the skies were close enough to touch. Your smile was from outer space, bringing me to my knees with giggles. I loved you most that day. You danced my boogie away. Heartbeat. I Am King is a poem that I guess I wrote this at 3 a.m. and it's not uncommon for me to have insomnia. For some reason, I've been blessed with that. And I remember writing this poem and thinking, I'm going to write a poem about being king in the morning. I am king. It's 3 a.m. again, and I've convinced myself that I am king, cerebral enough to choose my destiny, walking on clouds up high away from the insignificance of modernity. I filled a glass with lovely tears, my cup runneth over. Opened my chest up to the winds and carried away ancient sorrows, no longer worried about tomorrow. God gave me the life and will to breathe. I've made it through the broken fragmented glass, risen up from the ash. I am the very best me. I am king. Thank you. Okay, if any of you guys were at my book launch last year at the Steinbeck Center, I talked about how I went through therapy and how it was a very depressing time writing Afro Clouds and Nappy Rain because of the content. And the first poem that I wanted to be in my book was one that announced where I'm at with my life. I wrote A Better Looking Me very quickly. I wrote it on my bathroom mirror with soap, and I just remember wanting to make sure that I got it down before I could do anything else. I've got my smile back. The skies have opened for me. No more darkness-covered soul feeding my mind sour tuna fish sandwiches and rotten mayonnaise. My smile is bigger than Coke. It's higher than dope. I am up, up, up in the sky, joyful as a dancing sun. I've become a finally better-looking me. Thank you. Thank you. Just want to go back for a second and do a poem that, as I was on tour, I was very, very sure that was one of the reasons that I got the Image Award nomination in the first place. I wrote I Rise Up in You, and it was going to be it's like my poem that was from me to the generation before me, and every time I go anywhere I always perform this poem because it means so much. I don't ever want anybody who fought for us to think that we don't care or that all of the ridiculous things that happen to our people throughout the years did not matter to our generation, because we are only here because somebody rose up in us. And so now I rise up in the new generation. I rise up in you. Like yesterday when feet went smashing down to drum beats in the West African midnight, stomping out demons from baby boys your age, I rise up in you. On those days we sat in white-only restaurants guarding our stomachs, not eating a morsel, not batting an eyelid, never saying a mumbling word, till you let me eat with no consequence of separatist backlash. I rise up in you. On Sunday mornings dressed in linen suits, fedoras, handkerchiefs, humming a wail, or how I got over. Been a long, long journey. My soul looks back in wonder how I got over. Over crack cocaine in the 80s when I rose up in you, distributed largely in urban, black-brown slums, shot up and snorted into brain matter, waiting to discover the cure for AIDS. Needles dancing around his arm, Michael moonwalking down a back alley. And still I rise up in you. Especially when black men are beaten by police officers, chastised like dogs, defecating on living room carpets, Michael Vick fighting bulls, Robert Kelly pissing on girls after school. I rise up in you, like Sean Bell rose to heaven after 50 gunshot booms in his chest, afraid of NYPD's historical tendencies to shoot first. FEMA's natural tendency to let human beings get sucked underneath 75,000 pounds of New Orleans swamp water, neglecting a weakening levee. I rise up in you. Like Tupac Shakur did, all those immortalized thug life lies and hyper-masculine confused graffitis etched on his stomach, spitting lines back and forth between Brenda and Hit 'Em Up. Changes. Can a brother get a little peace? So I can rise up in you like Jordan tennis shoes, eroding your mother's pocketbook for a $150 pair of rubber mask, tacky, cheaply made stompers, sewn together in 118-degree sweatshops filled with 525 Chinese 10-year-olds paid 50 cents per hour, molested by Nike's overzealous need to create buyers who can't afford their solid dunks. I rise up in you like soul food on Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock p.m. Buttered cornbread, fried chicken, and little candy yams, pork chops, collard greens, coleslaw, gumbo and rice, chicken and dumplings, green beans with sliced potatoes, banana pudding, peach cobbler, sweet potato pie underneath the sun's broiler, ham hocks smothered in cholesterol-flavored gravy, macaroni and cheese baked in high blood pressure's oven. Even then, I rise up in you, like sports and dance. The only things we do well, right? Miseducated on the discovery of sciences and formulation of astrology and open heart surgeries and freedom political strategies, we drew the original hieroglyphics, used the power of the drumbeat to communicate before formal speech. We created the stoplight, hot comb, peanut butter, IBM jazz, blues, gospel, rap, R&B like Whitney singing My Love Is Your Love, Bob wailing Emancipate Yourself from Mental Slavery, Fiasco motivating us to kick push, Badu's soapy sad love songs. I Rise Up in Cubes Today Was a Good Day, Biggs It Was All a Dream, Mary's You Remind Me, setting the scene above all the times I couldn't swim in your pools or walk through hotel lobbies. I rise up in Barack Obama, standing tirelessly through forecasted storms, pelting him with the hail of undemocracy, unyielding to holding king's dreams in his sweaty palms, dripping Jerry curl juice in the White House. Catfish and red snapper kitchen scents driving out to greet us on those West African mornings, laying kente cloth on the dining room table, planting seeds in your brown baby boy brain matter, rising up like a loaf of bread filled with yeast. In this classroom, in my seat, begging you to claim your undefeat, standing up with unshakable cultural pride, tears tumbling from the corners of your eyes, singing the words as I rise up in you in 1952 like yesterday's dawn, facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on until victory is won. Thank you. I rise up in you. I was trying to figure out how to get it. This has always been one of my favorite, very, very, very favorite poems in The Inside of an Orange. I wrote what I know for sure, based off of the things that I know for sure. And in life, there's not too many, but there are a few that I know. There is a God. Somewhere near the rainbow top. He frolics with the weather, potting sunshine in darkness. Only one life is given us. Either it will sink or float. Life is a rowboat. There are no emergency exits on Earth. We will all die in an emergency, peaceful or not. Heaven definitely exists, especially when people use love for oars. Regardless, black kids row through more obstacles than others. Their boats are likely hazardous, needing repair. The inside of an orange is sweeter than anything known. Texture little juice pockets squeeze sunshine from God to our taste buds. The sun will set, even on mighty, mighty Los Angeles September days. The coolness, a kiss, softer than pink cotton candy. But what I know for sure is, we have meaning. Our lives are purposed. No mistakes here. There is a God. Thank you. I'm just going to read a couple more and then I'll get into some question and answer if any of you guys have questions. And maybe take a couple requests if anybody wants to hear anything. The central poem of The Inside of an Orange is the artist poem. This is what the book is about. It's about giving back to the people and the artists who have inspired me. And there's been so many. It's interesting because a lot of people have this idea that the writing community, the arts community, or even the music industry that I work in, that we are all about competition. And in reality, we all have worked to help each other get to where we are. And I stand on the shoulders of some major giants in the literary field, John Steinbeck being one of them. I remember being so young and walking through the halls of the Steinbeck Library, going to the National Steinbeck Center when it opened, having the opportunity to live in a literary hub in our community. And that is a type of information and inspiration that our young people and our people deserve. Salinas is a major part of the literary fabric of America, and I will definitely be coming back and working with Salinas to help promote that a lot more in the coming months, so stay tuned. This is the artist poem. I am artist. I dance around an elephant stamping the Cupid shuffle down the Sahara, embellishing the sun's arrival with a foot-praising South African step routine. I dance rhythmically like a Nicholas brother, Hot Pants James and Michael Smooth Criminal all at once. I am artist. The record spin in the foyer, Stevie's inner visions exposed and coupled with the Mary J. Blige tape in Springtime. I drowned in Rihanna, fist pumping. We found love in a hopeless place, a yellow diamond in the light. Rain falling over my umbrella. Aretha's bridge over troubled water. I am artist. I meld melodies somewhat Rachel Farrell and Layla Hathaway, Jody Watley posters taped to a sophomore black boy's bedroom ceiling. I run faders up for Nas's Illmatic, automatically the most recognizable portrait we have to offer for auction. Watch me sample Brooklyn with Puff Daddy, push play for Macy Gray, make love to organ pipes giving a Ray Charles head throw. Watch me dubbing a Prince Darling Nikki, strumming up symphonious selective delicacies, chocolate to the ear. I am artist. I've written 42 complicated Saturday nights, dialogue 27 Jesse B. Simple conversations with my eyes closed, words brought to life and tapping to Jesus is on the main line, tell him what you want. Sunday morning souls slain in the spirit. Langston laid hands and sent me down south to sip wine in Zora's backyard, where God's eyes watched patiently. Nikki and Sonia sketched passion for me. I traced them on cardstock, slept with their whiskey-stained lyrics rising up, down, atop the back of a drunken passer out. I am artist. Speaker of truth, philosopher to the skies, conducting star alignment, Nina Simone and Bruce Nugent, Jane Cortez's celebration of the dead rapist Punk, Lorraine Hansberry's A Raisin in the Sun, a dream materializing giant canvas where paint runs. I am Dizzy Gillespie, Count Basie, John Legend, Kanye West. I am Melvin Tolson, June Jordan, Toni Morrison, Amiri Baraka. I am this poem, Anita Baker, a bit Mariah Carey, Billy's Don't Explain, Tina's Private Dancer. I'm a dancer for this generation, a Fatima Robinson, Aaliyah Houghton, Judah Jameson, and Alvin Ailey. I dream wildly CeeLo, sound somewhat Whitney Houstonian, lonely violin in the Philharmonic, woodwind surfing a Santa Cruz blow. I am Spike Lee in the BK, Julie Dash, Tyler Perry, a November Chills, August Wilson, David E. Talbot Stage Symphony. I am Ben Harper, Lenny Kravitz, Lauryn Hill, Corinne Bailey Ray, supremely John Coltrane, singing the sax, painting without numbers, telling stories of revolutions past, trilogies of blackness rooted deeper than a live oak tree, hard as day-old biscuits, soft as Granny's pancake batter and rose-scented oil. I am artist, sacrifice, lamb of the streets, philosophized, scrutinized, at times empty. In others, a pot of gumbo's full. Human being. I am artist. I am me. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Does anybody have any questions? Are there any poems that you guys want to hear? For those of you guys who have read the books or anything like that?
When did you start writing?
I started writing very, very young. I have always been a musician since I can remember, but I remember writing just very, very young. There's some things that I did when I was in elementary school, and not to think that I was going to end up being a poet, but I wrote through there, and I seriously started writing probably my freshman year in college. That's when the poetry really started to come out, and since then there's been thousands of poems that I've written, and only a few have made it into the books. But when I was really, really young, we had a lot of programs in Salinas, and I think that's what really helped to bring me to a place where I could appreciate and understand and hone literature. There's a question in the back.
I was going to say, how did your transition go from being a musician to being primarily, making writing, and then, how did that transition go back and forth?
Well, the funny thing is I'm always going to be a musician first and foremost, and before I can even speak words, it comes out on music. So there's times where if I feel like I can't write anything, I know I can play it on the keys. Other than that, the transition is built in, and true artists are able to move fluidly through different things. And I can't really draw as well as I think, but I've tried to start painting and doing different things. I think that just getting that out as an artist in any type of way is really, really important to get what you're trying to say out. And art for me is a collaborative thing. So if I'm going to play, I'm thinking of a poem while I'm playing. And part of these poems come from my musical experiences. So I see it more as a connection rather than moving back and forth between it. As I'm writing these, I'm thinking music. And because I was raised in music and doing classical, everything that I do is according to a beat. And that beat is always going in my head. And I'll wake up in the morning right on time before my alarm clock goes off because I started music at an early age. And when you think like that, it's something that never, ever, ever goes away. And the thing about Langston Hughes that I really loved is that he took the sounds of Harlem, and the sounds of jazz musicians and blues musicians, and he translated that to the page. And that took him being open to his surroundings and to allow all of those to work collaboratively. So I hope that answered it.
Was there ever a time in high school when you started to rap?
Oh, rap?
Yeah, instead of writing poetry?
I don't rap. I wish I could. You know, they asked me that this morning when I was at Alvarez, and I always get, whenever I go to high schools, they always want to hear me flow for some reason, but no, I don't rap. I do write, but I don't rap. Yeah.
Do you have any inspirational teachers growing up in Salinas?
Oh, I had plenty of inspirational teachers growing up. Starting from elementary school, one of the first teachers that I remember, my kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Gomes. She's somebody that I've never ever forgotten. I think that's because she just had instilled that love in me. Mrs. Smilowitz, and she's gone now, but I'm connected to her through the internet. That was my 5th grade teacher. My 6th grade teacher and 8th grade teacher, Miss Corliss Kelly, who is at Gavilan View Middle School. I know that she knows I'm here, but I don't think she's able to make it today. She was very, very instrumental in instilling that was my first exposure to Black authors outside of the home, and I got to see that in school. She was an amazing teacher and one of the best, if not the best, that Gavilan View has ever had as a middle school teacher. And then also, I just can't ever repay Elizabeth Birkland from North Salinas High School for introducing me to some of the greatest writers that I've ever read. We read Zora Neale Hurston in her class. That was my very first experience with Zora Neale Hurston. After that, I've read all of her books. I read Langston Hughes in her class and did a report on him. Actually, my term paper was on Langston Hughes, and from that moment, I knew that I wanted to be a writer. So I am extremely grateful, and I will always remember all of my teachers for all of the amazing work that they did. And teachers are very undervalued, but they're necessary. And when you have good teachers, you get good students and you get good human beings. So I am very thankful for that. Mrs. Birkland is here today in the front row. And I will be at North Salinas tomorrow. I did Alvarez today, so I'll be at North High tomorrow morning. Thank you for asking that. Are there any other questions?
I just want to add that North Salinas did win the poetry trophy about 3 weeks ago.
I just heard that today. I just heard that. Mom?
James, could you speak to the relationship between the 3 books?
Okay, well, I think I had this question this morning too. The relationship, first and foremost, I'm never going to deny that I'm a Black artist, and I know there's been a lot of controversy over the years. I wrote a poem about that, but I think it's important that our cultural heritage is continuously, throughout the years, offered a place and a space to live by artists. by different artists. And it wasn't just a 60s thing, and it wasn't just a 70s thing, it wasn't just Nikki Giovanni, but all of us can celebrate our differences because that's what makes us who we are. The first book, Sweet Potato Pie Underneath the Sun's Broiler, was more of academic poetry, and it was what I was doing while I was in school, and it has all the makings of a great poet. And Afro Clouds and Nappy Rain was more about the depression that I went through and some of the experiences and things that I heard from the people I was working with. And The Inside of an Orange is a reflection of a better me, of a happier me, a me who's working to become the best me that I can be. So it really has been a transition. I was very angry when I wrote the first book. I had just learned about some of the things that I did not know happen to people around the world, people of color, people of different races and religions, and the persecution. So I was very angry when I wrote that first book, and then I got really, really depressed on the second book. And so the third book for me was sort of my announcement that everything's going to be all right, even if it's not 100%, that it will get there.
What kind of words do you have for anyone, students, young people who want to perhaps follow in your footsteps and go down the literary and poetic path?
You know, the thing that I've always needed to hear is that everything will get better. And that's something that my entire life I've really just needed to hear. And as a writer, it's important that you hear that regardless of what you write, everything will eventually get better. And I learned that when I let go of things and when I just trust and have faith that it will happen the way it's supposed to happen. A lot of these opportunities that I had, I never, ever, ever imagined that they would happen. I wasn't expecting them. It was something that happened because it was divine order. And so when you just allow yourself to be an artist and you write as much as you can, if you're a musician, play every single day, practice as much as you can, do free events, go to the coffee shop and play, do everything that you can. If you're a writer, you write a play, do it for free at a rec center, do it at your church. You have to just continuously put yourself out there. And the more you do at Christmas time. And what do we do when a soldier goes home? Back from traveling on voyages fort to fort to fort to fort to fort, Germany to Switzerland, Korea to Canada, Indiana to California, 5 babies gazing up into glass eyes, wondering when the warring would end. I couldn't hear enough tales of war, enough of the medallions laying neatly in tender casing, enough of the difficulties defending a country still shackled silly by the unyielding clinch of Jim Crowism and illuminated vibrant color lines, standing atop a mound of bodies in the sub-earthly Vietnam 2:00 p.m. heat. But what do we do when a soldier goes home? Escaping the brutality of disease, broken memories of Korean politics, a famished and worn down soul from the weight of seeing black bodies swinging from poplar trees, then courageously defending America despite its non-optional racist mentality. What do we do when a soldier goes home? To rest with the rested heroes, John Jr., Betty Ann, John Sr., Isola, mother, father, home to simple quietnesses, harmonious wholenesses, peacefulness like rushing rapids racing from the belly of mountaintops to an absolute eternity of ocean waves. What do we do when the cage of life has loosened its release valve? What do we do when the spirit is emancipated from its fleshly captivity? What happens after the final teardrops like plummeting 50-pound boulders from the eyeball of his baby? What happens when the African griot gives libation and calls the name Willie Cornelius Wells, and the crowd affirms him with Ashe, 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 oh, all is well with his soul. We look to that Notre Dame sporting father, dollar-scratching child of Indiana, 50-year life partner who loved to make ice cream at wintertime, the man I used to see on Calavera Street. And we say, well done, soldier, at ease, save a place for me. Interesting. I just remembered this after you said that, Anita. My therapist picked up the book. I didn't even know that she got the book, but it was right after I was done with therapy, and I remember when she ordered the book, got it, and then I get a phone call the next day, and she was like in tears. It's the therapist in tears calling me, and she said, I prayed before I read your book that God would give me a poem that would speak to me. And she said, I just opened the book up and I fell on the poem that you wrote for your uncle. And she said she was getting over the death of her brother, and it just really spoke to her. So that's the power of words and the power of language. It goes far beyond anything that we imagine that's written on the page. Thank you. Okay, if there's no more questions, do you have one? Oh, okay. Then I will go ahead and conclude. Thank you guys for coming today. It feels wonderful to be back in the city of Salinas. I've had the most amazing welcome from the city, just receiving the City of Champion Award on Tuesday and getting to meet with both Mayor Donahue and now our Mayor Gunter has just been amazing, and to see that our officials really care about the children that they serve and want to see the best for this community is something that makes me really proud to be from here. So I will always keep Salinas as part of my home, and I will always come back here with my books, and wherever I go, Salinas will be there with me. Thank you guys for coming to my reading.
Remember, the library is also your home.
Oh yeah, I will definitely be at the library. And we plan to do some work. I can't talk about it yet, but we do plan to do some work for sure. Thank you guys. If you guys have books that you need signed, I'll be over here. And Nina or Crystal is still around if anybody wants to grab a couple more books. I don't think we have, do we have any sweet potato pies anymore? Okay, so all the first books are gone, but there's a few second books and, only a couple. And the inside of an orange is there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Salinas Public Library, we want to thank you very much for coming out and supporting one of our very own sons of the city here, Salinas, Mr. James Golden. So thank you very much. We'll be signing books.